Hello and welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to TEW 2020 NXT 2010, and we are into March here. Last episode we had NXT Takeover, the first official event under the Takeover branding. Good event. Women's tag champs were crowned in Daphne and Paige. Barrett beat Styles. Del Rio retained his gold as well. A very solid night of action, but that is in the past, and so we are looking forward to our next takeover special, NXT Takeover Fatal 4-Way, and we have 4 episodes of NXT to get through to get there, so we can get right into it here with week 1 of March 2010's episode of NXT, and it kicks off with the NXT champion Wade Barrett making his way to the ring for a 64. He's in a smug mood, having defeated AJ Styles. The crowd booing him. He doesn't care. He's got the gold. He celebrates. He says he knew he'd beat Styles. He told everyone he would beat AJ Styles because he's better than Styles. He is the face of NXT. He is the NXT champion for a reason. A takeover. Everyone thought AJ would take over, but he didn't. All that happened was Wade Barrett pounded him into the dirt, and Wade Barrett is still your NXT champion for a 55 here. Good little promo from Wade when he is interrupted by the general manager Dusty Rhodes, and he congratulates Wade Barrett on still being the inaugural champion, on keeping his belt, but he says that the thing about being a champion is you always need to be looking forward to what's next, and what's next for you, Barrett, is Takeover a Fatal 4-Way, where you will defend your championship against not 1, not 2, but 3 superstars, and those superstars will be decided over the next 3 weeks. We will have a triple threat match every week for 3 weeks, the winner of which will be inserted into that NXT Championship Fatal 4-Way at TakeOver Fatal 4-Way. Barrett, not very much impressed about the idea of defending his title against 3 other people as opposed to just 1, but Dusty Rhodes has spoken, and we'll have the first triple threat match later tonight for a 69. Very good work here. Before we have Candice LeRae taking on Nikki Cross here. Nikki Cross coming up just short at NXT TakeOver in the Women's Tag Title match, taking on LeRae one-on-one here, and Nikki Cross picks up the win by submission in the end for a 20. Decent match, no complaints from me. I'm not expecting the world from these people. 20 for LeRae and 12 for Nikki Cross. Decent little match here. As then we have a promo from La Sombra, the Cruiserweight champion, of course, accompanied by Luchasaurus, and La Sombra is still the Cruiserweight champion. He says they step up and they get put down by the king of the Cruiserweights. Luchasaurus just standing there, ever intimidating, and they are interrupted by Neville. Neville issuing the challenge to La Sombra, saying if La Sombra is going to keep running his mouth, he needs to put up or shut up. And La Sombra, not taking too kindly to be spoken like that, so accepts the challenge for a 27. And so La Sombra takes on Neville here, and in the end, Neville gets a shock victory over the NXT champion. Neville with the roll up for the win for a 34. Okay match here. La Sombra 35, 37 Neville. No complaints. Neville getting the win, and then is promptly beaten down by La Sombra and Luchasaurus when out of nowhere Mason Ryan makes his debut to make the save here. La Sombra and Luchasaurus, the Luchador team, fleeing the ring when confronted by the Welsh backup of the Newcastle native Neville. To tongue tie myself a little bit for a 24. Happy with that. Neville beating La Sombra and then getting beaten down, but finding reinforcement in his British countryman Mason Ryan. As next up we have another women's match. This time it is Bayley taking on Peyton Royce, and Bayley picks up the win with a rose plant, a Bayley to belly. We're going to call it that. I'll have to rename it. For an 18. Once again, not expecting the world of these people. 17 for Bayley, 15 for Royce. Happy enough with that. Bayley getting the victory here. And then we have a little promo ready for the main event. We show the competitors for tonight's triple threat match. AJ Styles, who of course lost to Barrett. Cassius Ohno, who has been going after AJ Styles in the weeks leading up to TakeOver. And Sami Zayn, not seen since his NXT Tag Team title loss at NXT Arrival. All 3 men are ready. They're training. They've got fighting talk. They want to win. They want the opportunity to become NXT champion. AJ wants another shot at Barrett. He says he knows he can beat Barrett for a 55. Happy with this. Looking forward to that main event. Hopefully we'll be very good. Before that, we have one more match as AJ Lee makes her return, taking on Tamina here. Tamina partners with Naomi, but Naomi injured, to Tamina going out on her own here to take on AJ Lee. And in the end, AJ Lee picking up the win with the Shiranui. I really have to go through all these moves and adjust the names to their updated WWE names they had, but AJ getting the win is the headline here for a 24. Once again, decent match here, happy enough. 32 AJ, 20 Tamina. No complaints as AJ gets the win. And then just before the main event, we have a little promo here from your new NXT Women's Tag Team Champions, Daphne and Paige, and they are very happy. They've got the gold, and they say anyone who wants to step up, anyone who wants a shot, then bring it, because between the experience of Daphne and the young, raw ability and potential of Paige, they say they feel unstoppable with these NXT Women's Tag titles around their waist for a 29. Happy with that. Good little promo from the new champs. Before we have the earlier mentioned triple threat. AJ Styles taking on Cassius Ohno, taking on Sami Zayn, with an opportunity at the NXT Championship on the line. Who will be the first competitor inserting themselves into that fatal four-way match against Wade Barrett and two others? In the end, your winner, and moving on to NXT Takeover Fatal 4-Way to fight for the NXT title, is AJ Styles, hitting Sami Zayn with a phenomenal forearm and covering him for the win. AJ Styles will have another shot at Wade Barrett and the NXT Championship for a 68 here. Really good match as usual from AJ Styles. 84 Styles, 54 Ohno, 47 Zayn. All three men doing really, really well. And yeah, the performance of AJ Styles stood out as being good, as you'd expect, as AJ Styles does advance, and AJ Styles will be in the Fatal 4-Way match at NXT TakeOver Fatal 4-Way. Wade Barrett and AJ Styles confirmed. 2 spots left. This week's NXT gets a 44, increased up off in one region. Happy with that. Always happy to keep increasing that popularity as we go. But we've got to move forward now. AJ Styles has earned his spot in the Fatal 4-Way match for the NXT title, but who else will? We're going to find out the next competitor as we do March Week 2 2010's episode of NXT. And this episode of NXT gets underway with a tag team match as the NXT North American Champion Alberto Del Rio and his lackey, crony, muscle, whatever you want to say, EC3, take on the team of Okada and Nakamura, and Okada and Nakamura get the win. Nakamura hitting EC3 with a Kinshasa for the victory for a 45. Good little opening match here. 54 Nakamura, 44 Del Rio, 35 Okada, 11 EC3. No complaints here. Okada and Nakamura working together to get the victory and come out on top here. And it's followed by Dusty Rhodes making a big announcement at NXT TakeOver Fatal 4-Way. It will be a Fatal 4-Way for the NXT North American Championship when Del Rio will defend his belts against EC3, Shinsuke Nakamura, and Kazuchika Okada for a 67. Big announcement. Del Rio will have some backup in the form of EC3, but he'll have both Okada and Nakamura to worry about. Can he keep his gold? We'll have to wait and see. As next up we have Dakota Kai taking on Nikki Cross in singles competition, and Dakota Kai picks up the win with the GTK Dakota kick for a 22. 17 Dakota Kai, 21 Nikki Cross. Happy with this. 22, pretty good, considering I got a 17 and 21, as Dakota Kai picks up the victory. Then we have a little promo video, once again, with Luke Harper and Abyss. Abyss rocking back and forth, and Luke Harper leans down, and he asks Abyss, what are the voices saying to you? And Abyss looks scared, and Luke Harper places his hand on Abyss's head, and he strokes him, and he leans in, and Abyss whispers something in his ear, and Luke Harper smiles widely. And then he looks at Abyss and he says, listen to those voices. Do what they say. For a 35. What are the voices telling Abyss to do? I'll have to wait to find out. As next up, following on from The altercation last week is singles competition between Luchasaurus and Mason Ryan, with Neville and the Cruiserweight Champion La Sombra watching from ringside, and the match ends in absolute chaos as Luchasaurus and Mason Ryan just brawling it out of each other, the two giants, ending in a double count out here for a draw for a 35. Good little match, to be honest, considering it's a double count out finish. 30 Luchasaurus, 32 Ryan. Ryan was off his game as well. No complaints from me here, as afterwards a mass brawl does ensue, with in the end the Brit Boys, as I've dubbed them here, Neville and Mason Ryan, coming out on top over La Sombra and Luchasaurus, standing tall in the ring as La Sombra and Luchasaurus, what's the word, skulk up the ramp. Yeah, let's use skulk, that's a fun word to use. Then for 27, and then after that we have Billie Kay taking on Candice LeRae, and Candice LeRae picking up the win by submission for a 20. Decent little match. 9 Billie Kay, Kay dragging that rating down. Candice LeRae gets a 23 though. No complaint here as Candice LeRae picks up that victory. Then we have, and just like last week, we have a little promo video. The three competitors for tonight's Triple Threat getting ready. Daniel Bryan, Cesaro, and Kevin Owens. They're preparing. They all want an opportunity at the title. Daniel Bryan losing the inaugural title match to Wade Barrett. He wants another opportunity at that gold. Cesaro wants to prove that he is what he says he is, one of the best wrestlers in the world. And Kevin Owens, well, is Kevin Owens. He wants to fight. He wants to come out on top. He wants some championship gold round his waist for a 47. Good little promo video, getting hyped for that main event tonight. As for that, we have a tag team match. It is the Golden Lovers taking on the Young Bucks to see which team is going to advance to the NXT Tag Team title Fatal 4-Way match. Kenny Omega and Kota Ibushi versus Matt and Nick Jackson. And in the end, Matt and Nick Jackson, the Young Bucks, pick up the win, hitting Kota Ibushi with a more bang for your buck for the win for the 48. Good match, as expected. The tag division always pulls out the good ratings so far for me. 50 Nick, 48 Matt, 40 Kota, 37 Kenny. Happy with this as the Young Bucks come out on top and earn a spot in that NXT Men's Tag Team Championship Fatal 4-Way Tag Team match. Then we have a backstage promo, AJ Lee talking, AJ Lee saying, you know, looking to what's next, you know, Karma, always looking for challenges, AJ wanting to get ready, wanting to get into a position to take on Karma, because she wants championship gold, and that's when her phone rings. She apologises to the infield, she pulls her phone out, starts talking on it, and she seems, what's the word, she seems intrigued and confused, but by the end, happy and excited as she walks off without saying another word for a 28 here. What could that be about? Once again, have to wait and see. Before the main event, it is Cesaro versus Daniel Bryan versus Kevin Owens in a triple threat match, and the winner will advance to the NXT Championship match Fatal 4-Way, joining Wade Barrett and AJ Styles. And at one point, Daniel Bryan setting up for his running knee on Cesaro, getting ready for it, when out of nowhere Abyss appears and drags him out of the ring by his feet, and Abyss smashes him into the ring post, picks him up and drops him onto steel steps into the barricade. Abyss brutalizing Daniel Bryan, clearly listening to those voices in his head, and those voices wanted violence towards Daniel Bryan, taking Daniel Bryan out of the match here, leaving just Cesaro and Kevin Owens. And in the end, it is Cesaro who advances to that NXT Championship match Fatal 4-Way for 60. Happy with this. 64 Bryan, 40 Owens, 43 Cesaro, no complaints, all doing really well, and it's Cesaro who earns a spot as this episode of NXT gets a 48. Happy with this. Another really good show. NXT Takeover Fatal 4-Way really starting to shape up, looking like a big main event already. Wade Barrett, AJ Styles, Cesaro, and one more superstar competing for the NXT Championship. Who will finish off that match? Who will come out on top when the match happens? We'll have to wait and see. I do hope you have enjoyed this episode. If you have, and you're looking forward to the next episode, and then, of course, Takeover Fatal 4-Ways episode after that, then like the video, subscribe for more updates on the series, and more TEW content in general. I have a WWE save going at the moment, and there are various experiment videos as well. So go check them out if you want to, and thank you for watching.